Lightworkers Unite is a podcast and social show hosted by intuitive women, lightworkers, and most importantly, friends, Mayum and Manjeet. Welcome to our podcast, Lightworkers Unite, where we believe there is a lightworker within all of us.
Whether you are a medium, an educator, or a nuclear medicine technologist, there is a lightworker within you, and we have work to do.
This is a safe and sacred place where lightworkers connect, grow, and learn.
And share our light with the world.
Hello, Lightworker listeners. We have a beautiful interview coming up right now. This was pre-recorded, and we are just so honored to have the amazing and beautiful Deb Schaffer with Enchanted Botanicals. Here's a little bit about her. She is a spiritual herbalist and author, and the owner and creative heart behind Enchanted Botanicals. Every product she creates blends the beauty of organic herbs and flowers with their spiritual purpose. Her offerings include meditation and ritual candles, hand-blended loose and resin incense, and a new home collection of scented candles and reed diffusers. Each product is carefully formulated to be true to its intention. They are spiritual tools that help you do your quote-unquote work, because sometimes magic needs a place to start. Please welcome everyone, Deb Schaffer.
Hi.
Yes, so let's go ahead and start. Hello, Deb. Welcome to Lightworkers Unite.
Thanks,
Welcome.
friend. So happy to be here.
So happy to be here. So we first have to, well, one, we have, I don't know if you have the bio in front of you or if we're going to read that later, but like, who is Deb? Deb Schaffer, is that correct? Is that we saying it correctly?
That's me. Yeah.
Deb Schaffer, and most importantly, like how we found you. That's the cool story.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge kudos for my marketing director, Melinda Rodriguez, who is one of my favorite people in the entire world. And she gifted me for, I think it was Christmas, wasn't it, Deb? She this custom blend spray. It's blessed purified water, essential oils with the crystals inside, and it's an amazing blend. And as soon as I opened the gift, I was like, what is this? It felt familiar, Deb. It felt like, I love this smell. This makes me feel like home. And so I sprayed it. And then of course, with your custom blends, you have this huge dissertation of all of the ingredients inside and why you picked them for me. And it was like spot on. And I was so impressed that I bought a bunch for my clients. And then I bought I fucking love them. And then I bought one for Mayum, a custom blend. And so every time we start a podcast, we always do. We do that. We spray.
Yes.
And so that really cracked the door open. So I just really want to acknowledge like the beautiful Melinda Rodriguez and how she brought you to us with this powerful stuff. So we needed to know more about you and learn about all of the amazing. And as soon as we got I know for me, Mayum, when I got the spray, of course, I was like Googling you like crazy. And I was like, wow, this woman is unbelievable. Look at all of these things that she's doing. And we need to know you.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And I too, my custom made energy spray was spot on as well. So it was like, holy shit.
I know. It's so crazy how that works.
I was going to say, you probably also you probably don't, it gets sent out. Maybe you do get feedback, but to have it validated that your intuitive abilities.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always
spot on.
Always a good
So
thing.
cool. So I'm sure our listeners, it's Enchanted Botanicals, correct?
Yes. Correct.
EnchantedBotanicals.com. I was checking out your website and all the beautiful products that you offer.
Thank
and
you.
So I have a question. I know we have many questions, but are all of your products intuitively made?
Yes. So starting with the custom spray is actually one of my very first products before I even was doing Enchanted Botanicals. I was seeing a lot of energy clients, and one day I just got this inspiration. And inspiration, I love to tell people, comes from the root words that mean to be in spirit. So when we're inspired, we are in communication with spirit, with the divine. And so the way I come up with those sprays, those formulas, is that I get quiet and I connect with my spirit team, my angels, my guides, ancestors, whoever wants to come in for that task. And then I ask that they connect with yours, with the person who's purchasing the spray or who it's being purchased for. So like for you, Mayum, I said, okay, team, I'd like to connect with Mayum's team. And now please download to me the ingredients. And so I go through a list of its pages. I have all of these essential oils and all of these crystals. And we go through it one by one, and they'll tell me, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. And so for the oils that are selected, I mean, it's down to the number of drops that go into your individual formula. And I ask to know nothing else about who the spray is for other than their name, because I don't want you to think, oh, well, she knows that I'm dealing with such and such. And so she's gonna formulate it. It's not, it's completely, I am simply the conduit.
Yes.
And then I've researched what are the energetic and spiritual and sometimes magical properties of these essential oils and the crystals. And then I'll write up that dissertation, the report on
I love it.
everything that's in there, why it was chosen for you at this time. And it's funny because usually by the time the person has used up the bottle, which, I have some people who seem to bathe in it because I'm firing off another bottle like almost monthly. It's interesting to see how the formula changes. Some of the ingredients will drop off. Others will maybe move from the bottom up, or they'll shift order.
That was one of my questions for you was, over time, because I'm definitely going to get another one, but me
too.
I was like, I was wondering, will it be the same? So why do you think it changes as what's happening there?
Well, it's because that's what you're working through. Sometimes we need to be uplifted a little bit more. Sometimes we're transitioning from one phase of our womanhood to another. And so we need different aspects to support us. And so once you've worked through maybe a challenge that was dealt with that particular spray, you've moved on, and your spray is going to move on because you're now looking to tackle other things. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yes. I really do love that so much. Oh,
it's like an evolution, right? Like to me, that it sounds like, it's like the evolution of our spiritual journey. And then you're kind of tapping into that other level. Cause when I ordered Mayum's, I was like, all she needs is her name. Like I was kind of like, oh, this is really interesting. And I shot it off, but
that's all I had of you.
I know.
Your name.
I didn't know that. I had because when I received mine, I thought for sure there was a discussion or something, and then when I bought mine for Mayum, I was like, wow, she did all of that with the name.
Just
and then
amazing.
You actually talk about that in your beautiful dissertation about, the process a little bit, but it's so lovely to hear it from you, like how that you're going spirit to spirit.
Exactly. And I love your word evolution. We're evolving. And so every product that I create is a spiritual tool. It's to help us move through what we need to move through at this moment so that we can become our best and most brilliant self. Because that's what it's all about. We don't want to have to keep coming back and doing this earth gig because It's not
Yeah.
easy.
It is
It
not
You
isn't.
easy.
know?
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. It is the
So,
quickest way to learn a lesson, but I tell you, it is not easy.
no.
It's dense.
That is,
Yeah.
wow.
Is this so? You know, in your bio,
Mhm.
you are a spiritual herbalist, and so
Yeah.
so what you're describing, is that what you would say is a spiritual herbalist, someone who is
Sure.
channeling spirit for the good and goodness and wellness and evolution of your clients,
Exactly. I
mental and
think
physical
that's
development?
really beautifully said. I do have um, my studies in medical herbalism, which I knew that I was not going to practice that. I'm not called to that, but I wanted to have that background behind me, kind of that street cred, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
really calls me, what drives my passion are the spiritual and energetic and magical properties of the natural world. And, so many times we just move through it almost on autopilot, and we don't realize that every plant has a soul, every crystal has, every single thing on this beautiful planet is soul based.
Yes.
And that's
Energy.
the energy that I work with. And so when you're working with the soul of something, it's those intangibles. It's the things you can't see, but you can feel, and you can maybe hear them, and it's a knowing. And that's what really drives me, and Enchanted Botanicals. That's what it's all about. There were plenty of wonderful medical herbalists out there,
Yeah.
and I leave healing the body to them. But in energy work, we work with the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual.
Yes.
I leave the
Yes.
medical herbalism on
Mm.
the spiritual or on the physical level, and then I dig into the emotional, mental, spiritual
Yeah.
aspects of
I love it.
my clients, my
Yeah.
customers.
Now, I have a question. Do you work currently with people one-on-one with energy work?
I
Like,
do.
yes.
Yes,
Are
I do.
do they come to you in person? Do you do it over Zoom or over the phone? How do you work with your clients?
All of that.
I love it.
So
Okay, all of them.
I have some clients that I've seen forever and ever. And so when that little thing called the pandemic was happening, not everybody felt comfortable being out and
Yeah.
about.
Absolutely.
So we switched a lot to Zoom, or when I work with an energy client in distance, it's not Zoom, because I want them to be very relaxed, and I do my end. So I'm working with their spiritual team, their guides, their angels, their ancestors, whoever wants to step in for that session. And so for about 45 minutes, I feel into perhaps what they're feeling. I make lots and lots of notes, and then I give them a call. And
Mm.
we go over what I kind of was picking up, what was coming through for me. So it's a little bit of a psychic, I don't
Yeah.
want to say psychic reading, but I'm using
Yeah.
all of my senses when
Yes.
I'm working with clients, whether I see them in person here in this office, or whether I am on Zoom, or whether I'm on a phone call, or just sending out an email afterwards. So it's really how my clients feel most comfortable, and if they want to just hang out for an hour, take that as their afternoon nap time. If they want to read a book and have me not call them, I really let them kind of guide how this is all going to happen, because it's for their highest good. And in order to get to that place, you need to be relaxed and not worried
Correct.
that you're looking good on camera, or that, you're not going to have the right thing to say. So
Mhm.
that's what it is. We
Yeah.
heal, again, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, when
Yeah.
we can bring our body into that relaxed state.
I
I love
agree
it.
completely. I love that too. Yeah. Last question related to that, because I'm curious. Do you notice a difference in between and maybe like you said, it is client related, but do you notice a difference whether you're in person, over Zoom or phone, as far as connection and or
Um,
do you feel like it's still the same powerful?
it's the same end result, but how we get there differs a little bit, because a lot of times when I'm working with my clients in person here in my office, some clients just, they love to talk.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk and we'll laugh and, and make that kind of a relaxing session, which doesn't mean I'm not doing my work.
Right.
But it tends to be a little bit more serious if it's not in person.
Yeah.
And when it's in person, it can become more of a teachable few moments, because I can say, I know you're going to feel this. And so I can grab their hand and ask them to move it over a certain area. And so it's just so miraculous when you see the light bulb go off and they realize that they are a powerful spiritual being, and that they can feel the energy once someone has pointed out, this is where it is, and this is what it feels like. And then I feel like then they can go on and be a little bit more empowered.
Yeah.
So they're two different, my in-person and my distance sessions have a lot of great things going for either one.
Yeah.
So, and I figured they all come into me the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love
I
it.
do agree with that. And where are you located, by the way?
I'm in Virginia, actually, about 45 minutes northwest of DC, at the very tippy top. It's called
wow.
Loudoun County. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually live out in the country, so I'm looking out my window
Oh
as
my
if you could
gosh.
see it.
Yeah.
But this is where I garden. And
Yeah.
so a lot of what goes into my products comes right from my little bit
Oh,
of land here.
I love
that just sounds amazing to me. It feels, I'm feeling all kinds of feels right now, right? Sensations and energy from you as you speak and talk. I love this. And so I was wondering, like, is this your home where people come, or do you
Yes.
have a separate
Mhm.
office? Yeah. So, right. So
Nope,
you
they
invite them
come to
right
my
in.
home. And it's all super comfy and it's light filled. And because I'm not one of those practitioners who needs to turn down the lights, because I think there's so much to be said for sun magic and light
Oh,
magic.
yes.
And
Love it.
so even in my magical spiritual practice, I tend to be on the light and bright side
I
of
love
things.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
And
it.
what a
Yeah.
beautiful way to describe you.
Oh,
Light and
thank you.
positive, right? You're on
Light
that
and
side
bright.
and
Don't you
bright,
feel
and it's
that?
so you, totally.
Yeah. And
That's
for
totally your energy.
listeners, this is what is exuding coming through the
Yes.
Zoom, right? Is this light and bright,
Yes.
very comfortable, at ease energy that feels fresh, like a breath of fresh air. I feel like everything's very fresh. So I just
you.
want to acknowledge
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, we
you.
did just spray our stuff as well.
That's
There
true.
you go.
Over
That's
all.
true.
I mean,
We did.
We're spraying our beautiful
Hello.
Enchanted Botanicals. I love it.
Oh,
I was wondering, like we've been stalking your website.
Sure.
basically,
Yeah.
for-
Stop it.
since the beginning, since Christmas. And you talk a lot about working with, obviously energy, right? So there's auric fields, there's ley lines, there's Reiki, right? There's all of these things. And I'm wondering if there's tell us what a session with you would look like. Because I think when you say work with me, there's the energy medicine piece of it.
Right.
Tell me, how do you discern between doing like a chakra cleansing versus some Reiki, or, I'm just so fascinated by.
I think it's all related.
Yeah.
And so I don't call it, I'm a Reiki master teacher,
Yeah.
but when I teach it in a way that makes it fun, that makes it, because I think when we can connect with people on a soul level, a
Yeah.
whole lot more healing and learning gets done that way. And
Yeah.
so sure, I can teach it to the manual, just like everybody else is teaching it, but I've kind of developed my own flavor, and that's how I like to teach my students. So I always start an energy session, whether it's in person or distance, by using my pendulum to check chakras.
Okay.
And so I tell people that you could have, well, we've got over 88,000 chakras,
Yeah.
which if you're new to this business are simply energy centers. They're little spots of energy. They're locations of energy within the physical field of our body.
Yeah.
And they extend through all of those other layers of our energy body or our auric field, the emotional, mental, spiritual. We can balance a hula hoop, actually, pretty well. Most of us can twirl a hula hoop. And if you think about a chakra surrounding your body, moving around it like a hula hoop, great. It's in balance. If you can keep that puppy moving, good. Add another
Many
one
years.
in.
I should try again.
Maybe you can keep 2 of them going. But try adding, 7 that we work, the 7 main chakras.
Yes.
Impossible.
Yeah,
It
I
is
love this
impossible.
visual. Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
one goes, they're all going.
Yeah.
And so in my classes and when I see clients, chakra balancing is part of what we do. And it's when you're running the energy, when you're running the Reiki energy or whatever kind of energy you practice, you're automatically balancing those chakras. So if I were to simply sit on my couch, have my client on the table tucked in under, a nice cozy blankie, I wouldn't even have to be touching them, but usually I am. And a lot of times we're talking and I've got my hand on their leg and I'm using my other hand to kind of, talk. And I'll tell them, don't feel like you're not getting, your full session work, because as soon as we connected, that energy was running. So that is the energy medicine work with me part. But what got me here is kind of a little roundabout story. And I don't know if you're interested in hearing that.
Yes, I was, because
I'm hoping
we're hoping.
Yes, because I feel like we have a very similar background. So I'm very excited to hear the if this is where we're going. It's
How you started.
Yes, girl, go get it.
Story. Okay, let me coffee up. Hang on.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, my sisters. Oh my gosh. I love you guys so much.
Okay, so 15 years ago, I had a shop, and I was an interior designer for many years. And I had a little design shop and loved what I was doing. And one day, it was August, and the weirdest thing happened. I was getting ready for bed, and there was a huge lump on the top of my breast that was not there the day before. And so immediately I felt sick, and I went to bed. I didn't tell my husband. And I thought, well, if it came on that fast, it's going to go away equally fast. And it didn't. So I went to see my doctor, and she said, no, it's a lymph node that's inflamed. And I said, great. But I was 4 months late for my mammogram. So she said, get on in there. Let's get this imaged. So I went for my mammogram. They took me immediately from the mammogram to a sonogram, and from there to a biopsy. Like, I didn't even have time to call my husband. And suddenly here I am in this imaging room being told I have breast cancer. But it wasn't where I felt the lump. It was way down within, deep within the tissue. And the pathology report came back a few days later, and it was horribly aggressive. And I made my way into, I mean, this was like so many God things happening, like that lump. Had the lump not been there, I would have been on my merry way.
Yes.
Scheduling my mammogram for whenever I got around to it. The other God thing is that I did not get my mammogram. And I am not telling anyone, don't get your mammogram. Right. I'm telling you, go get it. But what happened to me was, because my cancer was so aggressive, had I gone for my mammogram 4 months earlier, it would not have been detected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I got my way into Georgetown University Hospital, and I made my way into a clinical trial for a chemo, which is now protocol for my cancer.
Love it.
And I was looking at a 2-year prognosis, 2 years to live. And I said, no, I absolutely, okay, God, you and me, we're sitting down, we're having a chat. And I refuse to let this go down this way, because our son had started his first day of 8th grade when I had my first surgery. And so at 13, I said, I this is not how
my fate.
This is happening. I will not leave my son motherless. So tell me what you want me to do. And I can't believe I'm telling this story without crying, because I always cry.
I'm crying. I'll cry for you.
Try not to look at you. So anyway, I did my hideous chemo. I did I started with a lumpectomy. I moved on to, when my dad told me when I turned 49 that I was the oldest living female ever on his side of the family. And I thought, are you seriously freaking kidding me right now? Why am I just now? So I called my surgeon and I said, double mastectomy, reconstruction, stat. And she was like, I got you. Let's do it. I had my ovaries removed because my aunt died of ovarian cancer. My grandmother and great grandmother, I'm all on my dad's side. So don't believe the people who say it only comes from your mother's side. It does not.
No, it does not. No.
It's genetic.
On my dad's side. It just comes. But the kind that I had was not, it's called triple negative, which means it's not receptive to any hormones. There is no good reason for it. And in younger women, especially, it is nasty. So I made my deal with the universe, and I said, I will be your hands here. Just let me do this. And so I started studying all of these other things, like books would literally fall off the shelf at an expo, and it would be the only one left of that book. And I'd be like, okay,
that's mine.
That's
that. Right.
I know, right.
And then and that happened to be Feng Shui for the Soul, written by Denise Lynn.
Oh my God, I love that book so much.
I know so much.
Right?
And I love her.
So I studied interior alignment, that practice, and I got certified in Feng Shui through 2 different schools, and in space clearing and all of this stuff. And then I somehow read something about ley lines and earth energy. And being a Virgo, I'm an earth sign. And I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. So I started studying with these 2 gentlemen in the UK. And I learned how to tap into energy lines that run around the earth. They're naturally occurring. These are not like telephone lines, electricity lines. They are naturally occurring energy lines. So if you think of the earth as having like a fishnet around it, and all of those crisscross the earth. And my theory is that when terrible, horrible, tragic things happen somewhere on the planet, and we know that everything is energy, so every emotion, and we're dealing with some really horrible stuff in Europe right now.
Yes.
So what is important is, for those of us who can, and I will be happy to teach whomever I can, but when those emotions, when those tragic events occur, all of those are thought forms, all of those emotions and energies can sink into the earth. And that is the earth's job. She is here to absorb, just like any good mother. You're going to take what you can from your children when they hurt. And she does. And then my job becomes, how do I clear that? How do I cleanse that energy? How do I work with the earth to absorb those things, cleanse them so that they can be brought back up, and so that they can be transmuted and reused again. And so you think of, our relationship with plants and trees, we need each other. But where do you think the trees and the plants are getting their energy? It comes from the earth.
Yeah.
And so it's like this beautiful ritualistic cycle that we have. And so anyway, I developed this practice called energy alchemy, where I work with people. And in this case, I do get information from them. So I ask them to fill out a questionnaire, like, where do you live? How long have you not been feeling well? Because when we are not in balance with the earth that we're living on top of, we can be very out of balance. So we can have headaches, we can experience infertility, we can experience anger, stress in our marriage or in a family situation. And I'll tell you, it's miraculous work, because to heal people while I'm healing their relationship with the land. And so when I was first starting to do that work, I was looking for products that could help me do my meditation, do my connection, that could support me in a spiritual and energetic and magical way. And I wasn't finding anything that felt light-filled or clean or clear enough. And so spirit came in. And just like they did when, I said, okay, let's work a deal, God came back in again, and I heard it. Like it was weird, but it was like, go to your gardens. You've got everything you need. So I started with one incense and one candle. And then, and that was my angelic realm candle. And I realized when I used that, the communication comes in so clearly, so quickly, because again, it's not me creating the formula. I'm simply the conduit. I'm the channel. I am the hands here. So I do God's work here. And so that's how I got to be where I am. And then more people started finding me, and my product line grew, and another idea would come in, and
love it.
So there is one product that, because I know that, YouTube being light warriors will get this. So I have a little product called Light Warrior.
Oh, what?
It's a little balm, comes in a little tin. And I get a lot of my ideas when I'm just doing nothing, when I'm walking. I rarely have time to sit down and ohm it out, So I go for a walk.
I love that. Ohm it out.
Ohm it out.
And so I was thinking, it was May, and I have about 4 dozen peony plants that have been handed down
God, I love peonies.
through my female ancestors. And I am now the guardian of these beautiful plants.
I
They
love
were
that.
in bloom, and I thought, gosh, it's such a shame to let them just kind of go, and what can I do? And Spirit popped in and said, make a balm. And I said, okay. And I get home, again, Virgo, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out why. Just why is God having me do this? And so as I'm researching the peony plant, what I found was that the peony is named for Paeon, who was the physician to the Greek gods and warriors. So as these fighters went out onto the battlefield and fell and were injured or killed, Paeon would rush out and heal them so they could get back up and do their job again.
I'm getting
Love it.
so many
I
shivers.
know.
I know,
I
right?
love it
And
so much.
That's when I realized, wait a minute, as light warriors, we often find ourselves in situations where we don't think. We dig in, we do what needs to be done. We don't always shield and protect ourselves because we don't have time, or we don't think of it because we're so in the moment of helping. And then it's over. And we think, holy cow,
Yeah.
what the hell just happened? And how do I recover from that?
Yeah.
And so I realized that's why the universe was having me create this salve, was so that we could apply it to our spiritual wounds and get back up and get back out there and do what we're supposed to be doing. So, yeah.
I love
I want
that.
some. I love it.
I know.
Feel like
I'm gonna go get some.
I like want to put it right. Like I just want to put
Absolutely.
it.
It's fabulous there. Some people like it at the base of their spine. Seems to be a very vulnerable place. Like, when you say that phrase, I feel like I was stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
You weren't literally, for the most part, but energetically,
Yeah.
you very well could have been. And so
Yeah.
the back is a great place
Yeah.
to heal a spiritual wound.
I'm just wondering.
My heart.
Yeah, I love this so much. And yeah, we're totally gonna get this. I mean, you and I are like, okay, let's put that on the wish list. Let's get that going. But I'm wondering, like, I mean, you've been so vulnerable and amazingly forthcoming with your journey and how you became this beautiful warrior, in the light. And
Oh, and by the way, it's been 15 years.
yes, expiration date.
I
know. I just love that. And I'm wondering, I noticed on your in your website, I can't even remember where it was, but you had, and it really stuck with me. It was one of your heroes is Joan of Arc.
Oh,
and so is that
I wear
why?
a bracelet with her on there.
Oh, okay. Which is that why? Because that really resonates with your battle, with your story, and then also the South, the warrior.
Right.
Is there any other reason why Joan of Arc is so powerful for you?
Well, she was yes. Okay. I'll tell you the real deal.
Okay.
Again, there's one day I'm walking and thinking about the Archangel Michael. And, some people believe that angels have never been incarnate, meaning they've never been, had a human body.
Right.
I do not personally believe that. I feel like in order for them to do their job as completely as possible, they might want to, and I'm not saying that they have to, I'm not saying that everybody has, and I'm not saying that you even have to believe what I'm saying. For me, it makes sense that they would choose to have a human experience.
Yeah.
And I started, as I was thinking that, like these little things started firing in my brain. And well, speaking of fire, so the element that the Archangel Michael is associated with is fire.
Yes.
Joan of Arc was killed. She was executed by fire.
Mhm.
Archangel Michael wields a sword. That is his strength. So when you're cutting cords, one of the fastest, most easiest way to do that is to invoke that great angel and ask him to cut those cords,
Yes.
those psychic cords through all space and time. And so it is.
I do
And
this
it's
actually
done.
in my work. Yes,
Mhm.
with Archangel Michael. Yes.
Yeah.
And then there is Joan of Arc with
Yes.
her incredible fury over injustice being done.
Yeah.
And so to me, the two of them could very possibly share the same soul
Energy.
experience.
Yes. Oh, I
Yes.
see. Yeah.
This is really
So,
crazy. So
It's
I
cool.
have been working with Archangel Michael for over 20 years. And when he first came to me, and he and I worked together to help cut the cords, fire the sword,
Yeah.
all of that. And this is what's so crazy is just recently, one of the cards that I came across that was drawn for me was Joan of Arc. And I know,
you can't
I
make this
just
up.
recently,
Love
like a
it.
week ago, Deb, a week ago, decided on a whim to look more up about her. I swear I did. I was like, I mean, I've heard of her, I
Wow.
know. And then I found out, oh my God, that's where she was burned at the stake, the fire. And I kept making this weird connection with Michael and the fire and the sword. So this is just really weird shit.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
getting all
we
kinds.
have
Oh,
just
and I don't
validated
even,
it,
yeah, and I don't
right?
even remember where I read it, but I remember reading it and going, yes.
It's on my little about me blurb.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
and
is
it
it?
stuck
I
with
didn't do
me,
that.
and I was like, she is like that is a real warrior, like that. And then I knew, because it's in your on your website too, about how your radiation oncologist had, recommended energy
Right.
medicine, which I thought was really fucking badass.
Yeah.
Having a radiation oncologist myself, I can't imagine him doing that, So I
know.
just thought that was so, it's just so magical and beautiful. And I love the word that you said. You've been saying this a lot with regards to the breast cancer journey and other things, the God thing.
Mhm.
And where did you come up with that? Like it was a God thing. I just love that.
Because
It's
these things just started happening,
yeah.
and they all seem to, like, my sister was with me as much as I live in Virginia, she's now in Minnesota, but she would come down for the big things. And
Yeah.
I remember this one time she was with me right after I had my first surgery, and we're sitting in um, the waiting room waiting to be seen by the my surgeon, and this woman and her husband came in, and her name was Carmen, and I can say that because you will never find out her last name.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I remember it because it was so long ago.
Hmm.
So Carmen came in with a huge ice pack on one of her breasts, and she was frantic, thinking that it was some sort of really horrible cancer, because here, I mean, we're in the cancer center at Georgetown, and her husband was being a total turd, and he made it clear that he did not want to go in the back with her, because not because he didn't love her necessarily, but it was going to be difficult for him. So
Wow.
yeah, you think?
Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome.
So,
Great.
Yes.
so there's my sister, and she
Mm.
pops up and she says, well, we both said, Carmen, here's the deal. If me, Deb, has to go in first, my sister Kathy is going to go with you. If you go in first, I, Deb, will go with you. But we've got you, sister. We've got you. And as it happened, I went in first. So here's Kathy. And then here's Carmen, who is like twice Kathy's size. We're completely different races. And so the nurse comes out and says to Carmen, okay, it's your turn. And she says, is anyone coming with you? Well, her husband, Terrence, like puts his head down, reads the newspaper. And Kathy says, I'm coming.
Oh.
And the nurse looks at her and says, well, who are you?
I love
And
Kathy.
says,
Happy
I know, me too. I'm
Oh,
crying.
yeah. Oh, yes. If this airs on March 28th,
Yes.
happy birthday, Kathy.
That's why we're
Yes,
talking
happy
about you.
birthday.
Happy
Yes.
birthday, you beautiful souls.
No,
Oh
I
my
can't believe
gosh.
we're telling this story on her birthday. So
I love this.
anyways, so she goes into the back. The nurse says, well, who are you? And Carmen goes, this is my sister. And the nurse is like, okay. Could not look any different, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then so they do something, and then here's Kathy holding with two hands this very large bosom. And I mean, they go from one exam room to another because she's having to have, you know, a physical exam and then a sonogram or whatever.
Yeah.
And every time they come up with a new or up against a new practitioner, and the same question is asked.
Yeah.
So Kathy becomes her sister, her cousin, her best friend, and then finally we all leave. But in the meantime, well, I was gone, and at some point, Kathy laid into the husband and told him to grow a pair because
Hey, you
this
go,
is not about
sister.
him. I'm like, Kathy, have you seen the size of that guy? I mean, you're like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
He is not 100 pounds,
Yeah.
and he could have crushed you. And
she's
but
doing
you know
God's
what?
work.
It turns out that when Carmen moved from her second to last exam, Terrence did man up, and he took in what had been said, and the fact that these two women, completely unknown to his wife, stepped in and said, we've got you. If no one else does, we've got you. And so that was a God thing.
Yeah.
And then it turns
Yes.
out that she was a gospel singer and ended up writing a song that she recorded about this whole situation and about how she met these women, and she'll never see them again, but how they, you know, were doing God's work.
Yes.
And
It's
so
a God
it's just
thing.
it's things like that, you know, it's a God thing that I
Yeah.
didn't have my mammogram when I should have, you know, on the, you know, the exact month I should have, because
Yeah.
it actually saved me.
Yeah.
And so those are what I call God things. Those things that have a beautiful reason behind them that you don't know while you're doing it. It just seems like, you know, whatever. And then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I get it. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for organizing it that way.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think
love it.
Ma'am and I, we're going to be using that God thing. This was a
God
God
thing.
thing.
It's a God thing.
I love
No.
that. I know.
Yes.
When you said that, it was so interesting. I've been kind of doodling a lot with you. I don't know your energy. It's very creative. And I feel like I'm really picking up on a lot of your creative energy. And it's like I was making this flow chart. Do you want to hear your?
yeah, totally. Is it a God
It's
thing?
No, I don't know. We'll see. But it's really interesting. It says interior design, right? Brought you to spaces, right? And then the spaces brought you to clearings, which brought you to energy, right? And then the energy brought you to Mother Earth. And then it's really interesting because then Mother Earth, it was like this huge funnel that came up and it went right to spirit. Right?
So that's my tagline is blending spirit and earth.
Oh, well,
I'm
there
that,
you go.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm that.
Okay. You're right in the middle.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're like this bright beacon right in the very middle of this column, you know, but I just love how interior design, you know, brought you into creating powerful and beautiful spaces,
Yes.
you know, and I think as light workers and for people that are listening, sometimes we're in places and spaces where we're like, I'm not really maybe doing my light worker job.
Right.
Right. So I just wanted to talk maybe a little bit about how serendipitous that journey was for you, maybe
Right.
too,
Mhm.
right? Like that there are a lot of people I feel like are going, yeah, I'm working here, but my heart is really here,
But it
in
can
the
be
light.
both. It can be
Yeah.
in both.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing my design work, I realized kind of as I was kind of not in the middle of this cancer journey, but in it. I mean, I was in it. I was still designing. I still had my shop, which I ended up closing it at one point because, well, ultimately because I couldn't heal
Yeah.
myself. So I moved my business home. And,
Yeah.
but with the design work, if you are an intuitive person at all, you're going
Yeah.
to read the spaces.
Yeah.
You're going to read your client. So you're
Yes.
going to be able to discern those intangible things that he or she can't vocalize, can't verbalize, but you understand this is what they need to move forward in an empowered state. This is what they need to come home to let the rest of the world go by so that they can recover and go back out tomorrow and do their thing again.
Yes.
So for me, it really was just like your flow chart.
Yeah.
It was perfect because everything that spirit kept showing me, all of the classes that I took built one on top of the other.
Yeah.
And I remember one Christmas, right before my mom passed away, so it had to be like 6 years ago, I was working in my downstairs studio, which is where I create everything. And mom was sitting there on the couch and I'm working and she's doing needlepoint or whatever she was doing. And you know those sounds that come in, those high-pitched sounds? Well, for me,
Yes.
I identify
Yes.
on the right is my angelic team. On my left, it's spirit, it's like my guides, ancestors, that kind of thing. I
Okay.
don't know what they're saying. I don't speak their language, but I I always acknowledge, thank you for that information. I trust that it's coming in, it's going to go where it needs to go, and when I need that, I'll be able to pull it out and use it, that information that you've just downloaded to me. So thanks for that. So I start getting this little sound in my ear, and I was getting pissed. And
Oh, no.
I was, because I was frustrated at not being able to get everything done. It's like, if I didn't finish a design job, then Santa Claus was not going to come
Yeah.
for this client, and
Yeah.
and to have so many who were telling me the same thing, it was very frustrating, super stressful. And so the angels were coming in, and I said, "What?" I snapped. It's like, "What? What do you want now?" And so then they came in a little bit louder, and I got louder. And my mom is just like I know because she doesn't know what I'm talking to, and she's just kind of looking at me. And I almost turned to her and I'm like, "Now, what do you want? Are you going to jump on this train?" And so the louder I got, the louder the noise in my ear came in. And I finally just said, "I don't get it. What is it that you want me to do? Do you want me to do design work? Am I supposed to be seeing my energy clients? Am I supposed to be doing land healing? What is it?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it calmed. It was like, boom, silence. And then spirit came in again
Wow.
and said, "We want you to do it all."
Oh.
And that's when I accepted, okay, there is a reason why you just drew that flow chart, because
Oh.
all of those things are energy. So when I go into a person's home, I'm creating a space where they'll be able to draw on the beauty that's in there. When I see my healing clients, when I see my customers, buying my products, And it's not because I want to make $1 million. I doubt that I ever will, selling candles and salves and things. But it's really for it's my agreement. I'm upholding my end of the bargain. And
it feels like interior.
Yeah, as long as I do that.
Yeah, the interior design of your clients. Like
exactly.
It's like the interior design, like connecting to that. It was like, oh my God, it was like a full, like the circle just kept going around. And I was like, now you're shifting the interior design of not just spaces, but these beautiful
interior spaces.
Spaces. Yeah.
Interior
so
spaces.
I just thought that was just so, I love that. And I think, and Mayum, we've talked about this many times, you and I, Mayum, about a lot of our light worker community really struggling, with that, maybe maybe it's not, and maybe it's an or, like I need to do this or that.
Right.
And I love what you're saying is maybe it's an and that, you're doing this and this, like, I mean, I know my whole world is nuclear medicine. That's what I've been working on for the last almost 30 years. But it's always been an and with coaching, with my intuitive coaching. So, I mean, I see the parallels. Yeah. So I just love that I just love that you're designing still interiorly.
And you know what, that leads me to something that people often worry about. What is our purpose? And am I fulfilling my life's purpose? And I have an older client. I mean, I'm pretty old myself, as you can tell, but she's older than me. And
you're hot.
Yeah,
gorgeous. I was gonna say you're fucking hot. I'm just saying.
I highly doubt you're much older than me. I highly doubt it.
I know. I finally just gave up. It's
I love it.
You can pull it off, sister. We Asians can't. I can't wear gray hair. I wish I could, but I love it. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But she asked me at age 70 something, however old she is, and she was super emotional about it because she didn't want to die without having fulfilled her purpose.
Yeah.
And I said, Ruth, what is it that makes you happy? What is it that brings you joy? And she said, well, right now I'm making quilts for the local children's hospital. And that brings her great joy. And I said, then Ruth, that's your purpose for right now. Because when we are living and doing things from a place of joy, whether we consider it a hobby or an and, it doesn't have to be an or. If we are living in joy, we are lighting a spark, and then somebody else. It's like, those ceremonies where you start with one candle and then you light, and everybody else is lighting someone else's candle. And that's what a life purpose can be. It doesn't have to be being an interior designer or being an energy practitioner or, an earth healer or whatever. It can be what we are doing that makes us happy at this moment. And that can change. It can change. So
here, sister. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love that.
So we have many life purposes.
Yes. I love
and
that.
I think things evolve and change. And so maybe what once brought you joy, what you were doing, then all of a sudden you start to feel that shift, or maybe there's something else that's like, oh gosh, I'm kind of intrigued here. And maybe that doesn't serve me anymore. And then, this is that journey, that path of learning of we can be all things and it can change, and we don't have to limit ourselves to say, well, gosh, and compare ourselves to others. Well, they found their passion and their joy, and what's mine? And I don't know. And I agree with all of this. Like, what brings you joy? And just sitting in that and doing that. Like you said, it doesn't have to be your career or a job. It can be a hobby, whatever it is that makes you feel good and get you in that high vibe frequency. I love being in that high vibe, even for an hour a day, be in that high vibe.
That's right.
So, and then shine your light, and others will feel that and see that.
Right.
But we gotta find joy.
And then how beautiful is that? Pretty soon we've lit up the whole neighborhood, and then pretty soon we can light up the whole county.
Yes.
and then the state, and then the country, and then the world.
And then
So
the
it
world.
can be done.
Yeah, that ripple effect, right? It's like it starts with one, and I think sometimes with light workers, and this is like part of our listeners, we might not see the ripple effect in
Right.
10, 15, 20 fucking years. Who knows? We may not know what the impact is going to be.
Right.
But if we're not being true to that joy and really being aware of, this is actually my joy, like this beautiful soul that's making these quilts,
Right.
it's like, that might be something that gets handed down to somebody.
Right.
So, and wow, what an
Yes.
amazing ripple effect of love and unconditional kindness,
Mhm.
that's out in the world. But I just think it's so interesting. I love that. By embracing our joy, even in those little moments, I think we have to acknowledge the joy first. We have to be aware of what are the things that are bringing us joy,
Right.
and then making a concerted effort to keep doing that. And then releasing the fear of like, oh, is this enough? Because we just don't know. We don't know what's going to
And we're
happen.
not all Mother Teresa.
Yeah, girl.
Good grief.
Or Oprah.
It's
I'd
I
love
was
to
just
be
gonna
Oprah,
say Oprah too. I was gonna say that. High five. I love that.
Oh, I
we're
love
not.
it.
But we can make a change where we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mother Teresa and Oprah made a change where they are.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of us to lift someone up of that stature. So we are absolutely required. We are mandatory. Those of us who think we're not doing enough or we're not shining bright enough, we absolutely are. Don't ever think that you're not.
Yeah.
Because nobody can be you.
Right.
So,
I love that. And I want people to own that and realize that, hey, I am my unique self, and I'm here to do what God intended was to be happy, to be in my joy. So, because we are these beautiful spiritual beings having this human experience, and the experience is to experience joy and love. And then I believe in helping and serving others so that they can also experience joy and happiness and connection. So it starts just with us, and just, I've been really connecting. I love flowers always. I always have, specifically the sunflower. But this really resonates with me, and it's a quote, and I'm not going to say it correctly, but the flower does not compete with the flower next to it.
right.
Yeah.
They just bloom.
Yep. It just blooms.
It just blooms. We just bloom. Just do your thing. Just be you. Just bloom. Don't worry about that. And if we have all these beautiful flowers blooming, look how amazing that would be. Yeah.
And diversity, right, is important. Like, I think that if we were all the same flower, right, we wouldn't have that beautiful tapestry that we're adding to the web, to the creativeness of the world. Like, being an Asian woman, being a little brown girl, like, I don't know what your background is. But,
Eastern European
lady. I mean, we need all of that, right? Because we
do.
all come from a different lens and we shine differently.
And I call that stone soup. That old story, stone soup. We all bring, and so, I get a little anxious when people start throwing around the word appropriation, because if we are a collective and I am offering what I can from my background, and my friend next door is offering what she can, and you both are offering what you can, I don't want to tell somebody, well, you can't because you're the wrong color, or your hair's not, like what I was expecting. Now, that's not to say that I'm just going to go and steal someone's culture, but I think we all have things that we can contribute to the collective, to that stone soup. And how brilliant is that if we all combine? Because this is the other thing. We may be that Asian woman that Eastern European woman, that little brown girl, this time around.
Yeah.
Right.
That's our physical DNA.
Yeah.
My spiritual DNA could be exactly what somebody else is experiencing now.
Yeah.
So we have had lifetimes to
Yes.
become who we are now.
Yes.
And so that's the big point I wanted to make about that, because we have all been all of these things.
Yes.
And
I agree.
what we are right now is not what we've always been. It's
Mhm.
probably, one of a billion things that we've been, or places we've lived, or things that we've gone through. So let's join each other. Let's truly become a collective. Let's make that stone soup. Let's
I really
toss
love the
in
stone soup.
what our talents are,
Yeah.
and not say you can't help heal the world because you burn sage or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. It's such a lovely way to kind of the denouement, right? Like the gift that we're giving our light workers. Like, how do we, what advice are we giving them? Right. And what I'm hearing is collectively we're saying shine, bloom,
Yes.
Exactly.
grow, show up, do the things to
Right.
add to the tapestry of the world. Right.
Add
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And don't worry about, well, she's doing it or he's doing that already. And it's what
They're
what
not going to do it the same
inspires
way
you.
you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Like, yeah. I love it. Oh
Again,
my
that's-
gosh.
It goes back to what inspiration is, to be
Exactly.
in spirit.
Yes.
To be in spirit, inspired. What brings you inspiration? And just
Right.
doing that,
I love it.
just being
that.
you, your authentic self, will inspire others. Period.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. Yeah.
End of
End of
story.
story. Oh my God.
I
Oh,
love
on
it.
that note,
Yeah.
Deb, we wanted to honor, do you have any promos, anything coming up that you wanted to share with the audience, or just should we just people check out our website? It's friggin'
Yes.
amazing. There's
And we'll
so
make
many
sure that we have
comments.
all your social links. We will put it
Yeah.
out there as well. But yes, go ahead and tell your listeners how to find you.
Yeah.
They can find me Enchanted-Botanicals.com. They can find me on Instagram, Enchanted Botanicals. I'm also on Facebook. But let me do this. I should have thought about this before, but I'll do it as soon as we're finished here. What if I do a discount code for your listeners or viewers? And let's call it Lightworker.
Oh, my
Love it.
goodness.
And
Oh,
so there will
wow.
be a discount code. And I'll make sure that it's good for a couple of months, because I know not everybody,
Yeah.
gets
We'll listen to it on the same day.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll,
Thank
yeah.
you. That's what I was trying to get at.
I got you, girl.
So it'll be Lightworker.
Oh,
And
thank
it'll be a
you.
discount for your peeps.
I love
Oh.
it. Thank you so much. That's
That is the-
amazing.
I'm telling you, that is an amazing gift, because
is amazing
your
gift.
products are really, really beautiful, and you are just an amazing, beautiful, bright light.
Oh,
Thank you
my
for being
goodness,
this
yes.
amazing light worker and shining so brightly for us and inspire. I'm so inspired. May you look at, we're both
So
like
inspired.
crying.
I
We're-
want to get a plane and come see your garden and get in your room and
Let's
We should
do it.
Let's podcast there.
Where
do
are
that.
you, by the way?
Well, we're right outside of Seattle, Washington. I'm in
Because I'm
Kirkland.
going
She's in
out
Everett.
there for a wedding. My sister Kathy, her son is getting married in June.
Where?
Oh,
Bainbridge Island.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
oh
Yes.
my gosh. Okay,
Beautiful.
so
I'm
we'll be
putting
in
it-
touch.
Okay.
What day?
let's-
you said June. Okay.
June, it's like whatever that 18th, 19th
Weekend. Okay.
that weekend.
Well, we're
That's
gonna have
Father's
to-
Day weekend. Yeah.
We're going to have to meet if we can. You'll be busy with the wedding and stuff, but we'll at least be able to connect. And we are so, so grateful
Coffee.
for you.
We'll have coffee.
coffee. Mine's gone.
Zero coffee.
This has
Aw.
been such an honor, Deb. I'm really grateful
Thank
that
you.
our souls
Thank
got to meet. So thank you for
I am too.
being here and sharing your wonderful gifts. And I hope to see you and meet you again.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think
Thank
we
you,
will.
Thank you. Oh, I love it. And we love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.